Grief Karga said you were coming.
What else did he say?
He said you were the best in the parsec. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
You are a Mandalorian. Your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
Your name will be legendary.
I don't know if you heard, but the Empire is gone.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
Hello and welcome to Mandalorian Minute, a Who Watches podcast about the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Burnell.
I'm Dustin Meadows.
And I'm Ryan DeVere.
And this week we will be discussing the second episode of the second season, Chapter 10, The Passenger.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of a change of pace since last week. Took a little detour, still looking for some Mandalorians, got some connections going. Ryan, what did you think about this episode?
Well, we definitely made it off Tatooine. I thought maybe we'd spend a whole story arc just there and do the whole Boba Fett thing, but you know, we moved on, that's great. I think that was one of the strong points of the first season, was like each episode was completely independent feeling from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I think most people did, or at least based on what I had seen online the day that this episode aired. I saw some posts being like, this is the worst episode of the series, one of the worst episodes of any Star Wars thing ever. And I'm like, these people have clearly not watched as many episodes of Star Wars things as I have. Alex,
this is
what
worse
did you think?
than the worst episode of Resistance.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I had a good time. This was cool. I liked, we got some new species. We got a weird, super inhospitable planet. We have the child's obsession with eating things it shouldn't eat.
Yes.
Finally play a part in a plot. So that's fun. I dug
this
it.
whole episode.
Great. You're always thinking with your stomach.
The whole time. Angela and I were just like, no, don't. It's life. It's precious life. No. It was, I had a lot of fun. I mean, this show is an episodic show. I don't know. I think, like, people somehow, like, have a tendency to forget, because there are these big ideas and these things that play out over the course of the season, that the show, in an episode-to-episode way, is a totally, like, episodic show.
Mm-hmm.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that. This was cool.
No, and I specifically like that about the first season, where I feel like a lot of people do not like the aspects of episodes 4, 5, and 6, in which there are those just episodic one-offs.
Right.
And I like that this show is like, we're going to do some of this and we're going to do some of that, and don't tell us when to do it. We decide.
Yeah, I mean, that we haven't really been let down yet. So I wish Star Wars nerds would, like, just loosen their buttholes just a little bit.
And Dustin, what do you think?
My thoughts on the show can best be summed up by the words, no elephant, no deal. No, I thought this episode was fine. And like we talked about last week, I mean, Chapter 9, the first episode, set the bar so high for whatever was going to follow. There was no way it was going to top it. But I think the episode was fine, and especially the people complaining forget that there was a decent amount of that kind of loneliness and, like, just being out in the vast frontier of everything alone in the first season. So I thought it was fine. It wasn't over long. I think it stayed around as long as it absolutely had to, and it was a nice little diversion from some of the main stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I like that it's weird too. There's a lot of weird stuff in it.
There is a lot of weird stuff in this one.
So much so that I'm like, it feels like it has George's fingerprints all over it, even though this episode was completely written by Jon Favreau. I'd think that, like, Dave Filoni would have had some part in it, because like he works so closely with George Lucas, and George Lucas in the Clone Wars especially would go on some really weird adventures, and that's what this kind of feels like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Oh yeah, I think so. The first season of The Mandalorian, we finally saw someone in a Star Wars go to the bathroom. We finally saw a door to a bathroom that someone had just used. And I think this episode, we finally learned that it's called the Privy.
Yeah.
So
that's
what Mandalorian's doing for us Star Wars nerds. It's giving terminology and acknowledgement to the bathrooms of the universe, and I think that's important.
Well, the bathrooms of that ship, and Rebels, it's called Freshers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, those both sound like very British. I mean, well, privy is a British thing.
Yeah.
Flusher's absolutely. Oh, you've been the flusher, eh? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get right into it. This episode is directed by Peyton Reed, who you all know from Bring It On.
Yep.
And the Ant-Man films.
And those. And the guy who took over for Edgar Wright when that happened.
And really surprised me when he directed Ant-Man and delivered one of my favorite MCU films, which I didn't think was going to happen after Edgar Wright stepped down.
Yeah, no, totally. I think Ant-Man's awesome. No, it's no slight to Peyton Reed. He stepped up.
No, yeah. The episode opens right where the previous episode ended, where Mando is on the speeder bike on the in the desert plains of Tatooine, and he gets ambushed by a bunch of, we don't really know who they are, or they seem to be after the child. So I don't know if they're bounty hunters or just bandits of some kind. But this entire scene, the buildup of it, and you see that he's about to get ambushed. I was like, oh, this feels very much like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
do you think about that scene, Dustin?
I think it's great. I'm a sucker for fight choreography, especially non-lightsaber fight choreography in Star Wars. And I feel like every episode we get at least one decent kind of close quarters hand-to-hand fight, and none of them have felt repetitive yet. So I'm like, even if I wasn't super into this episode, on the strength of that opening scene alone, I'll shut up and deal with it, because that opening sequence is so good. It's so fun. It's so well done. It's great. The fight's fun. It kind of makes you ask questions, like maybe they're after the child. Maybe they're just some burglars, some bandits.
Yeah.
I mean, they call out the child, like they're like, get the child. Like it seems like they have some sort of motive. Yeah, immediately after the crash.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And so it seemed like there was definitely some intent there.
Yeah, I feel like it's always the child. I feel like it's always the focus.
Probably for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
You were definitely right. The fight choreography was very fresh. He's using the armor a whole lot. We didn't talk about that last week, but he actually used like the helmet to fight back. He took some blows just to hurt people's hands and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want more of that.
I agree. No, I thought the scene was fun as heck. I love. It's an old trick. Like it's like, this is down to the Western. Like, as you could do that to a horse, and the same thing would happen.
The horse would break apart into a million pieces.
The horse would explode. I mean,
yes.
A horse is extremely combustible. I don't know if you know this, but and then just Mando actually seemed like kind of desperate to make sure that the child stayed safe, which was a kind of cool thing to see. Like, he was willing to like really basically put aside whatever to ensure his safety. At least it seemed that way. You know, if the guy had gone for something other than the jetpack, which he could have control over, then I don't know what would have happened then. But that was a fun little comedy beat to punctuate the scene.
Yeah, I thought for a second we were gonna like go through this journey this season of him like losing all the elements that he'd collected over the previous season. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that seems cool. Like, strip him down to like just the base level and see what happens. But nope, I was not expecting that ending.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
One of my favorite things with the sequence too is that like he waits so much longer than he has to trigger the jetpack and take the dude out. Like the child is in the clear like within seconds, and he just like very slowly, very casually like takes his time, makes sure the kid's okay, and then like punches in the sequence to jetpack the dude up into the air. It's just a really cool moment. Kind of harkens back to the moment in the last episode where Timmy O shoots the rocket after the speeder, and it's like just playing it super cool.
Yeah.
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 And Travis, you sent me a screenshot of this guy.
I did. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, that's that metal-faced Jawa guy from The Force Awakens that yells at Rey, whose character's name is Scrapjaw Motito. But they clearly use the same mask from The Force Awakens, and they put it on this guy, who I do not believe is supposed to be the same character because he met a terrible end, unless this species can survive from great heights. But yeah, it's unclear if he's a different species altogether or if he's a species we're aware of that's just wearing this mask.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is maybe one of the... I mean, they had to know that the nerds were going to realize this was the same thing and that there would have to be an answer for that. So I'm sure that one of them has an answer for that we'll get in Disney: The Mandalorian Gallery, whatever. The Making of Show, Season 2.
Is there someone I can go directly to where I can just apply to be the person who names characters? Because I want that job.
I think that is like one person, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's Leland Shee.
It is Leland Shee, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gunning for the position, Leland.
Yeah.
Just he's on Twitter. Just talk to him. He'll probably let you take over his job.
Please give me your job. I need the money.
That's what your lead off is.
Oh, well, if you need the money.
Oh.
What if Leland's like, I've been
it.
doing this for free for 20 years?
Then I'll offer him a 60-40 split.
Free.
His only fee is that he's been able to eat like the catering from all the Star Wars productions that have happened at the time during Lucasfilm.
Yeah. And then, so without a speeder bike, he makes his way back to Mos Eisley, carrying everything on his back. And he meets up with Peli Motto back at the cantina. And she's having a nice back game with Dr. Mandible, which is this awesome creature that I really love. And it seems like it fits right in with the just the classic cantina characters.
Yeah.
You almost feel like this guy was in there, but he wasn't.
Totally. This looks like, you know what this reminds me of most is actually the movie within a movie in Matinee. The movie Mant. Reminds me a lot of Mant. But it looks like a 1950s thing that was lying around a sci-fi shop or a prop shop or something that was thrown in the cantina. You could have told me it was in the cantina in like a cut shot. It would be like, all right, yeah, I'd buy that.
I love how all over the place some of these names are. It's like, yeah, Scrapjaw Motito. This praying mantis is Dr. Mandible.
Yeah.
The most on-the-nose name it could possibly be.
What's this? Salacious Crumb? Let's call this guy Captain Rex. Okay. Or Commander Rex, whatever he is.
But yeah, it's cool. They introduced him. He was at the cantina in the previous season, but they gave him his own little spotlight here. Also interesting that they chose this episode for Peyton Reed, in which they're like, hey, we're going to have a giant ant for you.
You know, I actually bet Favreau did that on purpose. I bet Favreau remembered that this ant thing was around the shop and was like, oh, Dr. Mandible. He's just typing and he's like laughing to himself because he knows Peyton Reed's going to direct it.
Also, give him all the giant spiders. All the bug stuff. Give to Peyton Reed.
All the bug stuff.
That'd be okay if this episode was the only bug-centric episode. I'd be fine with that.
Oh, I'd watch a bug Star Wars show. I'd watch a whole Star Wars show about evil bugs. I'd watch that.
Yeah, just give me Starship Troopers Star Wars. I'm on board.
Yes, that's exactly what I want.
with or without.
But they have to get Michael Ironside to do a cameo.
Yeah.
I was gonna go with Neil Patrick Harris.
I'd be fine with that too.
I think we should cast Casper Van Dien in the Star Wars. Personally,
he could probably use the paycheck.
I think he could.
Yeah. So Pelly tells him that Dr. Mandible he can help her or help him.
Dr. Mandible here says he can connect you with someone who can help you if you cover his call this round.
Which he does, and then he loses some money.
We get a lot of alien language in this episode, which I love.
Yeah, I love Dr. Mandible's language too.
Yeah. I kind of want more bug stuff just to continue making Ryan uncomfortable as we progress the show.
It was. I mean, we've gotten a lot of alien language so far, just entirely.
Yeah.
They're definitely leaning more into the whole we're out there, we're on the outer rim.
Yeah, it's great, and we'll talk about the scene where it becomes an issue later because it's a super fun scene.
Yeah. So the connection is a passenger that needs transport, taking her eggs to see her husband, and he can only go at sublight speed because the eggs will die otherwise.
Yeah, they're so fragile that they'll die, but don't need to tie them down. That's fine.
No, just chuck him in the basement with the kid who's known to eat things. That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. How's that container not childproof? Come on.
It seems like it's just a latch.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, what's this? A simple toggle?
Yeah. It's like a sticky note over there. Do not open.
This is a cool thing, though. I mean, he does say to her at one point, "I don't speak frog," which, a little bit pushed it to me. Like, Travis, when we watched Caravan of Courage, and there's just, a lot of earth animals in the first Ewoks movie, that felt a little bit like this.
Yeah.
But I liked the person in a suit aspect of the character. I always do.
Yeah, creature design's really great on her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kermit the Mom was very believable.
Kermit the Mom. That's great.
And the person in the suit portraying the frog lady, which is her how she's described, is Misty Rosas, and she was in the suit for Quill in season 1.
Oh, cool.
Which I thought was very cool. And I was thinking about that the second time I watched it. I'm like, wow, the characterizations are very different. It was 2 great physical performances that were very distinct.
Nice way to call that out.
A Lady Doug Jones.
Yeah. And D. Bradley Baker providing the voice.
Was that D. Bradley Baker?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Now I hear it.
Yeah, I hear it now. And then here's Amy Sedaris.
Amy Sedaris is welcome in every episode of this season,
Seriously.
as far as I'm concerned. My goodness.
That little bit... that bit in the hangar is so funny with her. It's like, how long have you known her? I just met her right before you walked in.
Oh, God. Yeah, that exchange is so good. And I don't know what it is about this show. I mean, these movies, obviously, the Star Wars has never been without comedic moments. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But, they just feel so organic in The Mandalorian when they happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's just a difference of Favreau running everything or what, but...
Well, I mean, I think it's a difference of, the world surrounding it being believable in itself to the audience and not...
Yeah.
That's fair, too.
And the actors there on the set as well can probably get more into character and can improvise and just have better
true.
Timing and everything.
Well, and as we've touched on before, a lot of comedians, a lot of just funny people in general attached to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, we have 2 in this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of going back to what I was saying last week about the pit droids being actually funny in this context because what's surrounding them is not just this gooey cartoon where like everything is kind of that tenor. We just have this little pocket where there's these doofy droids, but right outside the door there's danger, and the show lets us feel that, and it works better because of it.
Yeah, no, agreed. Also found out that Pelly likes her meat medium well, not super well done like a Rhodian.
Like a Rhodian.
Like a Rhodian.
I've been wondering since we met her last season. I was like, how does she take her meat?
Well, also now we have another
I
reason
thought you were going to say you were wondering since the original movie, how does Greedo like to eat his meat?
Well, now we know that they are not. They have Rhodians have poor taste. We know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the answer to what the crate dragon meat was for.
For eating.
Yeah.
Interesting. Using a full-on engine to cook it.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Good little bit.
Yeah.
They're just so far the show has just been great at using the little bits and pieces of the universe to make a cohesive world.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have not been. I think the only person here who's been to Galaxy's Edge, Alex, is you. And I hear that they do serve food and meat from what looks like it's being cooked on a pod racer engine.
It does, yeah, they do.
Okay.
And it does, yes.
So we've got some consistency in the world there.
That's pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail because, like, I would assume at least Travis. I know you're gonna go sometime. Brian, Dustin, I don't know, but but like I don't know you guys. I mean, I know Dustin pretty well, but I don't know if you're getting your ass to Disneyland ever. And Ryan, I just don't know.
I mean, if it's ever safe to go back to Disneyland, absolutely I'll go.
But,
I'd love to.
No
Long-time
major
listener, never time goer. So.
Yeah.
But no major Galaxy's Edge spoilers. But like, yeah, when I came upon this this like big display of this robot like turning a spit roast, I was like, this is great. I'm living for this. It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, yeah. The day they introduced the crate dragon kebab, I'm over there.
Nice. I feel like they have to after this season of Mandalorian. It'll be like, they'll have to probably like revamp the menu post COVID.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of consistencies I've noticed in the world at Galaxy's Edge and like the shows and everything. Because in the scene with Dr. Mandible playing Sabacc, I was looking at the cards, and one of my birthday gifts from Sarah was this pack of Sabacc playing cards from Galaxy's Edge, and I'm like, oh, they look just like it, minus the Star Wars branding on the
right, and like the obvious cardboardy aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, like shape wise and design wise, yeah, they look the same. It's great.
So then they start the trek, and then we get these two different goals from the Mandalorian and Yoda, Baby Yoda. Mandalorian is constantly trying to sleep, and Baby Yoda is constantly trying to eat.
Yep.
Which Mandalorian,
relatable.
Yeah, he tries to sleep. He's like takes 3 different shots at falling asleep this episode.
That's right. I didn't even realize that. That's his mission. Yeah. And then the child can't not eat the eggs, which just look like the most delicious treat in the world. They probably are freaking delicious.
Oh yeah.
It just looks like a jar of pickled eggs from a bar.
Yeah, delicious space eggs.
I gotta feed my baby some bar food.
Yeah. It also kind of tracks with his character because throughout the first season, the things we see him eating are always like frog-looking things.
That's true.
He's eating frog eggs.
Yeah.
There was a very misleading little like musical cue. I think it's the first time he sees the container. That I was like, oh, is this like going to be like a force sensitivity thing? Like
I agree.
Senses life.
Yeah, I agree with that weirdness of the music cue.
No. That was a punch to the gut.
Yeah. And Angela and I also kept questioning, like, does the frog lady know how many eggs are supposed to be in there? Like, it seems like like at the very least, the child ate like 5 or 6. At the very least,
minimum that we saw.
Right. So like, probably more, and how many were in there. This seems like it must be an issue.
Yeah,
She
no,
doesn't
for sure,
bring it up at
because-
all.
No, I mean she's hugging him super tight, like she knows
Right.
at the end. But and it's also, and she's not making more because it said in the text at one point that like this is her last batch, and
Right,
so that's
this was
why
like
it's so
her
important.
final like life cycle thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which again begs the question: why a simple latch?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying, fertility clinics and sperm banks have better security, and the species isn't reliant on those to continue.
I mean, maybe the opposite. I don't know.
But like when the Empire went down, all the funding fell out for the space clinics, like the space fertility clinics. So they all closed.
So the latches were the first thing to go.
Absolutely. I mean, that was just a jar for mayonnaise, and
It used to be a combination lock.
She
Now
had,
it's-
she had to repurpose the mayo jar for her babies.
Then you got all the Imperial holdouts marching around with the life begins at conception signs. It's a whole thing.
So do you think the eggs were practical?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
They look practical.
I mean, it looked practical, right?
I think
Yeah.
it was. I think it
Sucking
was.
them down.
I think it was some and some. Those look practical. The ones that he was eating. I think in some of the shots where they're like really suspended and pretty, that's probably like computer enhanced. Because you saw when they were
Yeah.
chucking them in the thing later in the episode, they just all floated on the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but it was. I know we should have been like stressing about the safety of the, and then like what happens next when he wakes up and he gets called out by Trapper Wolf, which is the Dave Filoni X-wing pilot character, which we meet again, and the X-wings start going after him. I know that we should be concerned with the safety of Mando and the ship. The entire time, I'm like stressed because Baby Yoda is down there with the eggs.
Same.
I'm like, I don't. What's going on down there? He can't be trusted.
I was also concerned about this. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was probably the most beautiful shot was when the X-wings come in, and like you've got the Razor Crest with the X. It just
That was really cool.
just good. Yeah, good angles, good lighting.
Oh yeah,
It felt very Star Warsy.
It did.
yeah. And it's such a great moment too when they switch channels and then you just get the visual of the wings opening up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool, we're gonna get a chase scene. Awesome. That's where I was hoping this was
Ruh-roh.
gonna go.
And the last time we met these guys, because was it Filoni and the same other pilot we previously met?
No, this
Okay.
The only consistent pilot is Filoni. The
Okay.
other two pilots in episode 6 were Rick Famuyiwa and
Oh right.
uh,
And
what's her name?
Oh god, Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow. Yep, those are the
those-
other two directors.
And that was all from the prisoner episode, right?
yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I thought.
More extra callbacks to the prisoner later in this episode.
Right.
But
Yeah, which again, I forgot to mention up top. Another reason that made me love it because it just reminds me we're definitely going to revisit that plot line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the other X-wing pilot's name is Captain Carson Teva, and he's played by Paul Sun Hyung Lee, who's an actor who has been in
He's an
Degrassi:
actor?
The Next Generation.
I feel like I've seen this guy in a bunch of stuff though.
Yeah,
I don't
but the cool thing about him is he's like a working actor. He's also an active member of the 501st.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's got quite a few costumes that he goes out and just,
Got
does
a new
that
one
work.
now.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be a pretty cool moment when you get to be yourself in the 501st.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I did have a question. So this is on in the Outer Rim, right? That's the general airspace we're in, and the prison was that also in the Outer Rim?
I do not know.
Like,
where
is
the
Filoni is Filoni's pilot character just like stationed all over the galaxy at convenient moments for us?
Yeah.
Could
I'm just
be.
curious.
Yeah, I can't recall.
It's not a big deal at all.
I'll have to confer to a star chart here.
The fun of that scene of seeing Filoni in those scenes is knowing that he was very uncomfortable in front of the camera. That's the fun of those scenes.
Yeah, he did not want to do the first time.
No.
And
But now he's a character.
John
and
Favreau
John's
like
making him.
forced him to do it. Yeah. So they take him down, and they crash land on the planet Maldo Kreis, and another ice planet, and they fall into a big old ice cave and are forced to try to survive.
The chase scene into it is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mando doing some friggin' crazy moves to try to evade the X-Wings. I love the flight choreography. I thought the CG, like, they're keeping up the quality of the CG that they set in the first episode for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is very cool. I like ice planets. What do we got now for ice planets in Star Wars? 4?
I was just gonna look this up. What's in Star Wars Rebels? There's an episode where Zeb gets stranded with Callus is his name, right?
Yep, that's on one of the moons of Geonosis.
Okay,
I forget what the name of it is.
Very similar planet, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and this is the second ice planet we've gotten in the series now, correct?
Yes.
Because
there's
one in
Mandalorian
the
specifically.
Yeah, in Mandalorian specifically. Because
the opening
very
scene.
first episode,
Yeah.
it's got the space walrus that kills Brian Posehn.
Mm-hmm, that's it.
That's right. Oh, that's a good scene.
Yeah. Was anyone besides me 100% expecting Wampas or hoping for Wampas? Because I definitely was.
See, like that's
I did not think Hoth at all, or
yeah,
that.
I didn't think.
I didn't figure it was Hoth, but I didn't know if that's a Hoth only thing or not. I'm not that versed in the creature lore.
I always figured that non-verbal creatures are only found wherever we see them. That's kind of what I generally assume. Because like, who's taken Wampa's places?
That's fair.
I mean, we took Wookiees places.
Right, but Wookiees have speech. Do Wampas have speech? They might. We don't know.
We don't know.
We've never seen a zoo in Star Wars, have we? At least not in main continuity.
No, not main continuity. I feel like Grand Admiral Thrawn maybe had something like a zoo in the early 90s books, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. How is everyone so bored with space and all of its wonders that there's not a space zoo?
Maybe we'll see that this season.
Maybe. I'm just saying, I think it would add something.
I would watch I would watch a show set at the Star Wars Space Zoo. Here's my pitch: The Office, but it's set at a zoo in Star Wars. Ooh. There we go.
That's actually pretty solid.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
Disney, I'll wait for the
cast changes every 4th episode because somebody gets eaten by something.
Correct.
There's just one slot that's always getting filled by a newcomer, by the guest of the episode.
Yeah,
I like it.
And, there could be like Jawas that clean the place, or something. I don't know. Let's not develop this idea on the air. We have more show to dissect.
Yeah.
Stay on target.
Nicely done. Now,
so they're overnight. They're trying to survive. They're having a meal, and I like that you see that Baby Yoda has this little meal kit, and he has as much disgust at it that we see Yoda have in The Empire Strikes Back at Luke's meal kit.
I'll
like,
have to go
I
back
don't
and
wanna
look
eat
at
this.
that. That's really funny.
So I thought it was like, a nice consistency there with like, this species does not like this human food. And he's like, give me the weird stuff.
Give me seasoned dirt and frogs.
you also get the frog lady.
Frogs.
Yeah, the frog lady like grabs it with her tongue, and she equally seems to dislike it.
Yeah.
But like what you were saying earlier, Alex, she's just kind of a frog. I mean, with above average intelligence, but everything else is just a frog.
It's just a frog.
Yeah.
And this scene was cool. We have the conflict of, like, Mando doesn't quite see, because, like, the whole time, like, I'm thinking of, like, oh my god, how are they going to get out of this? This person's, you know, family's bloodline is going to die. There's probably not many of these creatures left, like, and I didn't feel for most of the episode that Mando is giving that the proper weight it deserved. But I mean, of course, like, it's not his personal mission to save a species, but, like, I don't know. His reticence to just, like, finish that, even knowing the full circumstances, was like, oh man, like, come on.
Yeah.
There's like a ticking clock here, and you're just like not paying attention to the ticking clock anymore.
Yeah, and then she gets to use the Zero droid, which is still there in the Razor Crest, to talk to him.
Yeah, this part's great.
Richard
That was a really cool
Ayoade
part.
comes back for just a couple lines.
Yeah, because I was thinking during this episode, like, him not being able to speak her language, it's the first time we've really seen him hit that obstacle, because he just seems to be fluent in every language that he ends up speaking along the way until this character.
Yeah,
super
they're
good
so
point.
rare.
Yeah, and just like her being, I love the little, like, because it's not even addressed, like, but she's good enough with tech that she can wire herself into a droid head to translate for her.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I found that interesting. I bought it.
Yeah. I definitely thought that was a plot point that was maybe going to come back in any way, shape, or form.
Right, and then just did not. Well, I mean, we have next episode. Like, it seems like she's still in it.
Do you think we pick up next episode with
For
the
sure.
same?
We have
You
to,
think
because
so?
because the thing is like her husband is the one who knows where the Mandalorians are. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Oh, this ship is also definitely going to need repairs before he goes anywhere else.
Yeah, just based on the season 2 trailer, I can tell you that next thing we're seeing is where they're going.
Yeah.
Um,
Frogtown.
Yes.
Oh, where's Roddy Piper? Where is he?
Oh, in heaven.
True.
Then after their disagreement, she sneaks off and goes to a nearby spa in the ice, and
She finds
Mando
a hot
and-
spring, a nearby spa.
Baby Yoda come in and find her.
Hey Siri, find me a spa. Like, she just straight up walked off and was like, "Man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find what's out there."
Yeah, that seemed dumb.
Yeah,
do.
she was like, I know. Well, maybe this species, because I'm like, how did she know that she was going to find somewhere to heat up the eggs and all that?
Well,
But-
I felt like it was probably actually dangerous for her to stay out in the cold, because if she's cold-blooded, that would be bad, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
Exactly.
thinking.
That would be bad.
So I can understand her heat-seeking. I love the child's, like, babbling squeak communication. That was fun.
So they go, and Mando's trying to talk her into getting out, and then Baby Yoda, again wanders off, and he is
Great. Always thinking with your stomach.
and eats a baby spider from an egg, which prompts a whole ton of them. And
Yeah.
if Gandalf were around, he would have called him a fool of a took. Because,
Now, do we think that the spiders were awoken by the fact that the child ate one, or did they
I
wake
mean,
up?
it seemed to be like they were not doing anything until that happened.
Right,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So do we think it's a hive mind scenario? Maybe it's a hive mind scenario.
Be.
Seems like they all were, because, like, I don't know, me personally, if I was with 1,000 other spiders and they were chasing something, I'd be like, I'm just gonna chill here.
You
unless
guys
we're
got
all
this.
like group braining it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also-
That was an interesting trigger. Yeah.
When in the history of anything, but especially sci-fi and space, has there been a shitload of eggs and something terrible didn't immediately happen?
Literally never.
Like, I will not keep more than a dozen eggs in my fridge for that same reason. Like, 12 is enough. More than that, bad things happen.
Case Dr. Manhattan tries to give you his power.
Yeah, that's
Well, that's why I always make sure that I have at least one.
You have to keep one, but no more than 12.
Yes.
Yeah, this series, every time they show you an egg of any kind, it's gonna get eaten.
Yep.
Season 1 with the mudhorn.
Yeah.
That was that egg, yeah. And then multiple eggs in this episode.
This time the eggs eat back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then this giant spider creature, and this species is very familiar because it was featured in the art of Star Wars. Ralph McQuarrie created it probably for Empire Strikes Back.
It was for Empire. Yeah.
We have a picture of Luke on Dagobah with one of these creatures. And they took it directly from how Ralph McQuarrie drew it there.
Yeah, I just threw up the comparison image. It's literally directly like the spider itself was lifted out of the Ralph McQuarrie art and placed into this concept art for the Mandalorian that we see during the closing credits.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, the execution on it was fantastic.
It looks exactly like this drawing.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And all of the spiders looked really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they look great, and I know there's differences. This also made me think of the spider things from The Mist.
Oh yeah,
They're kind of similar in their design.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool, interesting thing about that. It's known as like the white knobby spider from Ralph McQuarrie, and apparently these things on Dagobah, you see that their limbs very much look like giant roots for trees, and you see the trees behind it.
Oh yeah, huh.
And Ralph's idea, like this is like his idea, I guess. He wanted the spiders to lay these eggs, and they turned into spiders, and then as the spiders matured, they eventually turned into trees.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm into that. I didn't even see before, like the McQuarrie concept art has the eggs at the bottom of the bottom of the thing.
spider's laying one in the shot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So we got those.
Cool design, definitely holds up. The execution was great on it. It felt terrifying.
Totally.
And totally believable.
And this is not even the we've seen spiders very similar to this in Star Wars before, in Rebels as well.
Yeah, so in what planet was this on?
On Adalon, which is where the Rebels take a base in season 3 on a planet called Adalon, in which these spiders are. But they aren't these spiders. They only have 6 legs and not 8. But they're obviously inspired by that same art.
And if we had to make a science explanation, like maybe somebody dropped some eggs on a different planet at some point and an evolutionary branch began.
Yeah.
But I could see these eggs getting around the galaxy. I could see eggs getting around the galaxy easier than I could see wampas getting around the galaxy.
That's fair.
It's true.
I mean,
this
whole
episode is all about transporting.
Maybe if only wampas laid eggs. That was their flaw.
Oh, we don't know if they're mammals, I guess. More quite Leland she.
Get back to Dustin and also let us know about that.
Yeah, this whole fight scene is great. We have Mando fighting them off like with every resource at his disposal. Kill him with fire. The massive Godzilla sized one he's not at all prepared for. He seems he thinks he takes care of, and then it's actually one of my favorite moments in the episode. Like he's starting to take off in the ship, like it's sound enough to like take off, and like the music comes up and they're lifting off, and then just giant spider drops right on the thing.
And then when the spider puts its big old mouth right on the cockpit there, it also I don't have a comparison here. I meant to do this, but like in The Force Awakens with the Rathtar.
Yes.
On the Falcon, yeah.
Which also looks like Minox, no?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things love sucking on windshields.
Good visual.
I also love how deftly they weave in genre elements too, because like pretty much from the second we see the eggs up through the end, it's like that spider sequence is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Yeah,
the whole time I'm just like, this is my nightmare. This is my nightmare. I hate this.
Yeah, it was really creepy. Ryan, I
Yeah.
bet you had a great time.
No, I kept expecting them to stumble across a flying Ford Anglia.
Or John Goodman with the flamethrower.
We've seen these kind of scenes before, and man, it just it never stops making your skin crawl.
No, totally agree.
It's super uncomfortable.
Totally agree.
We got a couple really good shots in this though, with the flamethrower.
Yep.
Where he like powers it up this time. I don't think we've ever seen him do that before, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. Let it
Where he,
full
Like,
blast.
Because like he powers up and then it cuts to that shot of the fire just shooting out next.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
the next thing we see, which is just such a great cut.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and then he like kind of Batman utility belts a couple things.
He
And,
does
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
I also love this entire sequence that we see the frog lady do a combination of running and leaping to get away,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, yeah, that was very cool.
super cool to watch.
and the whole time she's like slipping and sliding too. Like it's not like graceful. Like she's on an ice planet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I thought was a great little detail of like she can't just do it like she would theoretically on an open plane.
Yeah. It's not her environment.
Yeah.
There was also the nice little detail of when she got out of the hot spring, she like used her tongue to grab her clothes, and then just like the next time we see her, she's fully dressed.
He's like, well, I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
They didn't want to show a naked frog on Disney Plus.
that is too risque.
The cowards at Disney.
Won't go to the WB place showing that naked frog in a top hat all the time.
She's clearly a reptile, though. It's not like there's any like, you know. I mean, we're not talking about like mammals. Anyway, let's move on. What else happened?
We don't know the anatomy of space frogs, right?
This is fair.
It might be super graphic.
Yeah. I mean, how does it work with Kermit and Miss Piggy?
Super
Who knows?
graphically.
Is there a cloaca in play? We don't know.
That's it. And so then the Razor Crest is overrun by the spiders, and then the X-wing pilots save the day. And we
Very thoroughly.
Very
and quickly.
thoroughly saved the day, yeah.
with only their like blaster rifles. They weren't
Yeah.
even using their.
They're just
the
hovering and
X-wings.
just like
I
leaning
feel
out of
like-
the cockpit.
I feel like they must have used a blaster cannon to take care of the giant one.
That
The
was
big one,
my
I think they
understanding. Was like, yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of flew in, and did that, and then
Yeah, and
popped
then they
open
were
the
cherry
cockpit.
picking the little ones.
Yeah. But yeah, that was great. And they kind of let him go because they determined that although he did break many laws, he also apprehended 3 like very wanted criminals and put them in that prison.
and
But he
tried to
saved the
save
guard's
Matt
life.
Lanter. Yeah.
All right, and tried to save Matt Lanter in that control room. So they agree to leniency, and he tries to get them to stay and help, but they're like, no, just put a transponder in your ship, and we're not going to kill you now. See ya.
Which I think was a great little, like, just in terms of where our character is, he is very much on the outside of the law.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the good guys don't think he's a good guy. He thinks they're okay with him as long as he's on the right side, but they're not going out of their way to help him out.
Right.
Yeah, which like I love in this universe too. Like bounty hunting is not illegal, but every bounty hunter we meet is definitely outside of the law.
That's very true.
Like there's no Clint Eastwood bounty hunter who's like not in trouble with the law. They're just all on the wrong side of it.
True. Very true.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's kind of
Good
where the
point, though.
episode ends. We then see him taken off on the Razor Crest, he cannot make the repairs to the rest of the ship. So the only place that is going to be vacuum sealed is the cockpit. Mm-hmm. So they buckle in for the long trek, and Mando finally gets some sleep, and little baby Yoda gets another egg, which
one last.
Yeah, you feel like he should know better at this point, but
right, he has enough sentience to like know that what he's doing is wrong. It's like when I catch my cat up on like the kitchen counter, like, and as soon as I say something, he runs away because he knows he shouldn't be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I mean, at this point, it's on a small scale, but Yoda's technically committing genocide at this point.
Definitely.
Like, Baby Yoda can be tried for war crimes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I feel like we need to hand him over to Jason Sudeikis again.
Put some discipline. Which also leads me to wonder, does the Baby Yoda hate frogs just in general? Because like in the Seven Samurai episode from last season, we see him eat a frog or start to eat a frog before he spits it out.
Spits it out. He does eat it on Arvala 7 in front of Quill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, why there's a frog on that planet, I don't understand, but
maybe it was Quill's pet.
Could have been.
Since Baby Yoda only eats things that are dear to other people.
Seems to be true.
But come to think of it, though, in like the Cara Dune episode, we see at the bar that they meet her in, and then like Mando and Cara have like their altercation or whatever, and then the Baby Yoda's just sitting there with like the cup. Mm-hmm. He didn't seem to dislike that, so it's not like all human food.
Frog soup.
It was frog leg soup. But like we have seen him eat other things seemingly okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's definitely a frog theme. I wonder if that was something like as they were writing the episode, they were like, "Oh yeah, he does eat a lot of frogs. We gotta include that.
Gotta let the people know."
Yeah.
No, I'm still voting for Dark Side Baby Yoda. I think it's coming to fruition.
They very well could. I think, yeah, his appetite is going to get the better of him, and
he's gonna eat the wrong person. Start a new galactic civil war.
Yeah, Amanda's going to be tasked with transporting some like a king or prince that's a frog. It's going to be.
He's going to go to Naboo and eat Boss Nass.
Yes. Spoilers for episode 7 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. We go back to Naboo.
Again.
Baby Yoda and Jar Jar get into a frog eating contest.
Oh, maybe does he eat Jar Jar?
Maybe.
Would he eat a Gungan?
Wow.
Would he eat a baby Gungan?
That's a good point. Like, Jar Jar could theoretically show up in Mandalorian.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And like you talked about with the pit droids, like, he might actually fit.
Yeah. I'd watch Jar Jar in this context.
When they bring him back and Dave Chappelle plays Jar Jar Binks.
Well, like a year ago, it was rumored that. Do you remember this crazy rumor that Jar Jar was going to be a part of the Kenobi series?
I do, but then didn't that just turn out to be Ahmet Best got hired to do that weird Star Wars game show?
I think so.
Right.
Is that the Padawan game show?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like Nickelodeon's Guts, but for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed Best wasn't a Jedi. That makes zero sense.
Well, he's a Jedi in this series.
Hey, he's got the robes and all.
Oh, so it's not Captain Panaka?
No.
No.
Which one? But no, I like. It's possible to see Jar Jar in this. Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that before, but that's a character that we could revisit and maybe do some better justice to, and we could have a great like Mandalorian just being totally put out by this wild senator.
Yeah, I mean
this wild senator.
They brought back Boba Fett, and I would go as far as to say that Jar Jar and Boba Fett are equally popular.
You could say that.
I could say a lot of things. I could say 1 and 1 is 3, but you know.
You could say equally talked about, and that would be maybe correct.
Yes, that's definitely ventures closer to some accuracy, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of Boba, we never really saw, we saw the armor at the beginning of the episode, and the Razor Crest, we never once saw it, I don't think. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
the assumption is that it's got to be on board, right? But
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's down
Probably
there
he's going to be
somewhere.
wearing it next season or next episode.
there it is, yeah. She wins him over to her side, and she's the new buddy cop for this. Cara Dune is out. Now we've got Frog Woman.
Frog Woman in Boba Fett's armor.
Kermit the mom on menopause.
This is unrelated, but I just want to throw it out in case anyone who makes this show is listening to our podcast. But I'm watching the Mummy movies right now. Put Brendan Fraser in the show, please.
Oh yes, please.
I have been watching Doom Patrol, and I forgot how much I miss Brendan Fraser in my life.
That's next on my list when we finish
you're
Dragon
gonna love
Emperor.
Can I roll back my what I said about Dash Rendar last week and say that Brendan Fraser should play Dash Rendar in
That'd be great.
Star Wars television? That would be dreamy.
I am 100% on board with this.
That'd be
I think I'd go
awesome.
with more of the Carl Weathers role. He's just this reoccurring kind of there. Oh, Mando, yeah,
So you don't want him in a mummy-esque role in Star Wars.
Do you think he could do a mummy-esque role again?
Yes, 100%.
I think you gotta. I think you gotta ask Brendan.
I'm
Fraser.
just saying. I know it's been 12 years since he was in a Mummy movie. I'm only halfway through Dragon Emperor, and I'm not counting it in the continuity. But
Okay.
but I think he could play Rick O'Connell still.
All right.
I'd watch it.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for him getting work.
Big set.
Yeah.
But those are our thoughts on The Passenger. So next week we are going to be going into chapter 11 of The Mandalorian. Not bankruptcy.
Not bankruptcy.
Not personal bankruptcy.
Disney's out of money.
Which, of course, we do not know the title. We don't even know the director. I try to look up who's directing
not?
before the episode airs, and you can't even figure that out. They don't.
I wonder if
release
next
it.
week is going to be Rodriguez's episode.
Could be.
Ooh, that'd be cool. I will say on a lesser note, really quick before you finish up, disappointed that they didn't use the Iggy Pop song "The Passenger" at any point in this episode.
Yeah.
Golden opportunity, and they just walked right by it.
True. Totally pass up.
But, yeah. So until next week, Ryan, where can people find more of you?
You can find me on Twitter at HARBJAGEN. That's Harbjagen.
All right. And Dustin, how about you?
You can find me at DustinMeadowsComedy.com or on Instagram and Twitter at Dustin Meadows.
Cool. And Alex?
Twitter and Instagram at Alex Brunel.
Awesome. And you can find live streams of this show on Facebook, Twitch, and on YouTube. So please find us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, leave comments and reviews. Also find us on all of the podcast apps, just all of them.
Are there podcast apps that we're not on? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Great.
Yeah, I think I try to make sure we're everywhere. So please subscribe, leave reviews, reach out to us at whowatchespodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, until the next time, initiate self-destruct sequencing.